Humbug YouTubers, and welcome to Big Butter at Christmas. Now what you're thinking, do Buddhists actually celebrate Christmas? Technically I'm not actually a Buddhist. It's a nom de plume pseudonym, an online personality. But I'm not technically a Buddhist, and this technically isn't a Christmas movie. I've discovered after rewatching it last night for the first time in years. It kind of is a Christmas movie. There's I think my memory of it was that it was far more Christmassy than it actually was. It's certainly set at Christmas time, but it's only fleetingly refers to that fact. It's snowing at the end of the film. The reason I kind of remember it being more Christmassy than it is there's a big central scene in the middle of the film where Nick Diamond, the central character of the film, who's a boy detective. This is a kid's movie, it's a childhood favourite of mine. But he's been chased by two German hitmen through a department store at Christmas time. And in the middle of this scene, the character of Uncle Holly, the department store Uncle Holly, gets shot and killed by the two hitmen. And even at the time, I just remember thinking, who the hell's Uncle Holly? I don't know. Can somebody tell me this? Like, is Santa Claus a copyrighted character? Do you have to pay money to the Coca-Cola company or whoever? Because for the rights of the use of the Santa Claus character? Because if that's the case, Coca-Cola must be raking it in. All the different department store Santas and the different depictions of Santa Claus all over the place. But there you go. Just Ask for Diamond is the film that went against the grain and said no, we're not going to pay the Yankee dollar for that. The film is based on a book by Anthony Horowitz, and the title of the book, which I always much preferred, was The Falcon's Malteser, which does tie into the plot. It kind of centres around a box of Maltesers. Growing up, my next door neighbour Ed, who was always much more of a bookwormy type, he actually, myself and my little brother, grew up watching the movie, but he actually read the book and he said, yeah, no, in the book it is just Father Christmas that gets shot and killed, which would be far more subversive, I think, if they'd and funny if they'd put it in the film rather than you just having this character that no one's ever heard of. And indeed, in the next scene, Tim Diamond says, how can they kill Uncle Holly? He's so fat and lovable. Who's Uncle Holly? Nobody knows who Uncle Holly is. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked now. So yeah, Just Ask for Diamond is a 1988 British movie, and it stars Dursley McKinlan and Colin Dale as the Diamond Brothers. Anthony Horowitz wrote a series of children's books in he wrote 3 in the 80s about the Diamond Brothers, The Falcon's Malteser, Public Enemy number 2, which is the only one I've read, and South by Southeast, which was later adapted into a series for CITV with the same cast, but with Nick Diamond being slightly older. He was sort of in his mid-teens when they did South by Southeast, but it's pretty much meant to be the same universe. So there were some holdovers in the cast. This film features Bill Patterson and Jimmy Nail as a couple of detectives, and they were also in South by Southeast. I remember watching it when it was originally on, and rather frustratingly, it's virtually impossible to find now. It's never been released on DVD. Certainly never repeated. I don't think. I've sort of trawled eBay looking for anything, an old VHS copy, anything, because if anybody out there because it's not on YouTube anyway. It's kind of one of those things that kind of was on once and then disappeared without a trace. So if anybody out there knows where I could get my hands on a copy of South by Southeast, I'd be very intrigued to watch that. I believe the full title was The Diamond Brothers South by Southeast. So yeah, Anthony Horowitz wrote the 3 books in the 80s, and then I think he's published some more since then. And all the books are kind of plays on famous film titles. The Falcon's Malteser is my preferred title for this. But they went with Just Ask for Diamond for the film, which is I guess more of an 80s film title. In the States, it's known as Diamond's Edge. This is like a really terrible DVD cover. This really this is the central character. No, this isn't even the central character. This is the supporting character, Tim Diamond, real name Herbert Simple, in the film. I watched the film a lot. Initially, I think I got it out on VHS on rental back in the 80s, and it had a really good VHS cover when it was originally released. In fact, I probably put the VHS cover up as the thumbnail to this, because it's a much better poster than this. Than just having sort of the mugshot of Dursley McKinlan, who's an actor that no one's ever heard of. You should have heard from him. He sadly died like 1995, which is a real shame, because he was a very charismatic actor, Dursley McKinlan, and I think if he had lived, he'd probably have gone on to have quite a good career. He'd probably be a household name by now. I can imagine him now being one of those British actors on American TV in like House or The Walking Dead or something. But yeah, just having his picture and the title Just Ask for Diamond just really sells nothing about the film. Starring Jimmy Nail in a very much a supporting role. He probably has like 10 minutes of screen time tops. Susanna York, remember her vaguely? I think she was the woman in Superman. Pretty good cast. Patricia Hodge, Safri Jeffrey, Roy Kinnear, and Bill Patterson, obviously. But a really weird DVD cover. Why they didn't use the original poster, I didn't know. Also, as well, the DVD description on this, I think they just slapped on the entire plot description from Wikipedia. It just goes on and on forever. Normally for like DVD blurbs, you probably get that much tops, but this has pretty much the plot of the entire film all the way down it. But there you go. So don't be put off by the DVD cover if you do get it, because I think that's pretty much the only version of the film sort of readily available out there. It's a film that's largely forgotten now, and part of the reason for that is it's ill-served really just by such a crappy DVD release. I only bought it because I had fond memories from childhood of watching the film. I remember wanted to see the film. I didn't see it at the cinema, but I remember it coming out at the cinema, and my first introduction to it was they interviewed Colin Dale, who plays the main character in the film, Nick Diamond, the boy detective who's sort of the smartest, well, way smarter than his bumbling older brother, who's the real detective in the film, and arguably the smartest character in the film, way smarter than all the adults in the film, be they the criminals or the police. I remember Colin Dale being interviewed on Blue Peter about the film. That's really sparked my interest in seeing the film when I was a kid. It was just the concept of the boy detective that really drew me in. And this is a perfect film for little boys because it's about a boy basically in a man's world, in a detective film, in an action movie. And Anthony Horowitz obviously had great affection for the detective noir genre because I mean, this film was really my introduction to sort of film noir and detective noir fiction, and the conventions, the voiceover like you'd get in the Raymond Chandler stories or Blade Runner. Um, all the cliches of the femme fatale, the main character getting slugged over the head or getting the Mickey Finn, the just the structure of detective stories where it wasn't really about the mystery itself. It was more about the interesting characters that the detective meets on the way. And this film does have some really well defined sinister comedic characters. You get characters like the Fat Man, who's a head gangster, but he's been on a diet, so he's played by Michael Robbins, who's a very thin actor. Michael Robbins is probably most famous for being Arthur in on the buses. So you get all those conventions of the detective, the entertaining part of the story being the characters the detective meets on his journey, and indeed in the film they also the two characters actually go and see the film Farewell My Lovely, which I always kind of found a bit weird as a kid. So why are they going, if they're going to the cinema, why are they going to go and see an all black and white film? Who does that? Of course, I'd totally go and do something like that now. But this was really Horowitz sort of introducing me and other kids of my generation to detective films of the 40s, which obviously he has a great affection for, and this film really pays homage to. And the film's biggest strength really is the screenplay by Horowitz. Horowitz he's probably most famous for writing the Alex Rider series of children's books, outside of the Diamond Brothers books. But he's had a pretty good career as a writer, especially on TV. He's written many Poirot and Midsummer Murders, and a series called Crime Traveller, which is another one I've been intrigued to rediscover. That starred Michael French from EastEnders and Chloe Annette, really, which is outside of Kachansky in Red Dwarf 7 and 8, was really her other big role at the time in the mid-90s. It was about a time-travelling detective, but he could only go 24 hours into the past to solve a crime, and he couldn't change history. Those are the two laws set up by the. So it was quite an imaginative approach to the detective series. I remember it being a bit hokey actually, but it's still be something I'd be intrigued to see again. But Anthony Horowitz's writing his screenplays. It's a great screenplay for this. It's really tight storytelling, very witty dialogue. As I said, engagingly bizarre characters, and works as both a detective, an homage to detective noir, and I'd argue a detective noir story. A really good one, even and of itself. It's a little silly. The Well, I shan't spoil it to you, but basically the plot revolves around a box of Maltesers. Whether there was some sort of product placement deal in making this film with Maltesers, I don't know. I know it was Maltesers in the book as well. I think it was just to do the Falcons Malteser pun, really. Um, but yeah, I mean that aside, it is a kids' film, and but it the plot works as a detective film as well. So and Horowitz obviously is someone who has a great affection for the detective genre. You can really tell. Um, yeah, I mean, well, there's not a lot I could say. No, it's a great screenplay, and it's a great cast. I think it's sad that Dursley McClinton's life was cut short because he was a very charismatic actor, and I think it's sad that after South by Southeast, Colin Dale never really acted again. He's in the film. I think it's John Borman's Hope and Glory, and he after that, but he only really had that and Just Ask for Diamond and South by Southeast to his credit. He obviously walked away from acting after that, as a lot of child actors do. But a really good cast of adults in this as well. As I said, Jimmy Nail and Bill Patterson as the police officers. Jimmy Nail's really, Bill Patterson's that Scottish guy who's in absolutely everything. Jimmy Nail's really funny as Boyle, is subordinate who's hell bent on violence. Susanna York, as I said, as the femme fatale. Michael Robbins, Patricia Hodge, and Nicholas Grace, who's one of the slightly fey German hitmen. Um, it's chock a block full of it's them faces in this, and I put all of those actors, especially for in 80s TV and cinema, Patricia Hodge, Nicholas Grace, Roy Kinnear, they're all those it's them faces, but they all fit their roles very well, and they have a lot to play with, because Horowitz is very strong on character, which you have to be if you're writing this kind of detective noir homage. Um, it is set at Christmas time, but like I say, which is why I'm reviewing it now. But it is less of a Christmas film than I remember it. I must admit. But I mean, what I loved about it, rewatching it last night for the first time in years, was quite how hard edged and badass it really is for a kids movie. Um, like I say, I've already mentioned the scene where, Uncle Holly, let's call him who he is. It's Father Christmas, Santa Claus. There's a scene where department store Father Christmas is flat out killed in front of all the kids in this. There's another scene where Nick's trying to escape from the hitman on the return, and after he sort of swings through the air and through a glass window, and then to best the two hitmen, he just pushes a piano onto their heads. All right, they're in a van and they both survive. So that there's a great sort of there's a scene where he's the sort of cliched scene where you think he's be put in a tin bath and filled up with concrete, and you think he's going to be chucked in the Thames. This is a kids movie, and it's a kids movie that doesn't. There's another scene where the other femme fatale in the movie. No, Patricia Hodge is the femme fatale. Susanna York is the tart with the heart, I guess you'd say. But there's a scene where you think she's going to feed into a crocodile. So I liked how the film didn't sugarcoat it for kids. They plunged the characters into real peril in the film and didn't hold back, which is something I appreciated as a kid. Because when the peril feels real, it feels like a real adventure that the children are on. So as I say, I hadn't watched this film in a while, and I was pleasantly surprised how well it held up, and it should be remembered a lot more fondly, I think, than it is. Um, like I say, that's probably down to the fact that it is such a crappy DVD. It really deserves a better DVD. Re-release it with the original poster, because that was such a much nicer poster than this, and I'll try and put it up as the thumbnail for this video to show you, because this is really a forgotten gem of a movie, if you ask me. Just ask for Diamond, or Diamond's Edge for the American viewers. Check it out. Anyway, that's all for this one, folks. Join me next time, and until then, this is me, Big Buddha, signing off, and I shall see you all out there in YouTube land.